Good morning, my friends. This is Troy Stone King coming at you with another Facebook Live video. My apologies for the early start time and short notice, but because of my schedule, I have a dentist appointment later on today. So because of that, I'm not able to get my scheduled video in at the normal time. And before I get started in the topic, one other thing I want to say, I've been doing these videos for a week now. I started doing 2 Facebook Live videos a day last Tuesday. So in celebration of that, for my second video that I'm going to do later today, I'm going to have something special for you to give away. So don't miss the second video later on today. I think you'll be pleased with what I'm going to be giving away. This video is entitled A Tale of Two Races. A Tale of Two Races. Let me show you something here. This is a medal from a race that I ran in Champaign in 2015, my very first half marathon ever. And this is a medal from a race that I ran in 2016, my very first full marathon in Detroit, Michigan. Let me tell you a little bit about that Detroit race. I trained for that Detroit race. Isn't that a sweet medal, by the way? Yeah, they just give those away. All you have to do is finish the race. I trained for that race for months, and I signed up for that race almost a year ahead of time. And I spent a long time and lots of miles here where I live in the Midwest, in Illinois, and then up in Michigan. And wherever I went, I was running 3 times a week. And short runs, long runs, speed runs, different kinds of workout. And I trained for exactly how I wanted to run the race. And I did a practice run of 20 miles. A marathon is 26.2. By the way, the point of this video has nothing to do with how far the distances are. So don't worry about that. Don't think this is about running a long distance. But my longest training run was 20 miles, and it went fantastic. I was running in Michigan on dirt roads and up and down hills, and I felt fantastic. And then race day came. Race day came in Detroit, late October, and I decided I was going to run with a pace group. Now, if you don't do running much, a pace group means that there's someone who leads a group of people who are trying to finish by a certain time. And that leader is trained to run in such a way that they finish the race at the time that's estimated. They hold up a little sign, and I've done pace groups a few times. But in this particular pace group, it was a pace group that I had set for a goal that I wanted to finish this race in 4.5 hours. Now, the pace group leader looked like she was maybe 22, 23 years old, college person. And so talked to her right before the race. She said, yeah, we're going to do great. We're going to run this. We're going to run even splits, which means we're going to run the same speed the whole time to get to the end of the race. And kind of talked through how she was going to do it. And then we started. And then by mile 3, I'm watching the pace on my watch, and I'm like, we're going too fast. And then by mile 4, we're still going too fast. We hit the bridge. We run this bridge over into Canada. And at that point, I turn around. I'm going to take a selfie because I'm running into Canada from Detroit. I'm running an international race. So I turn and take a selfie. And then I have to hurry to catch up to the pace group leader. And as we're running the part through Canada, she's still running too fast. And now I can't catch her. We get to the tunnel that leads back to the U.S. under the Detroit River. And I am almost sprinting to catch up to the pace group leader. And this is like mile 8. And there are still 14 miles. It's a 26-mile race. So there are still a lot of miles to go in this race. A lot of miles. Come out of the tunnel, I'm feeling pretty good. By mile 12, I'm in trouble. I know I have pushed too hard. And at mile 12, I've got 14 miles left. By mile 14, I knew I was still going to finish, but I had no idea how. Had to take some painkillers. And I literally, for the last 8 miles of the race, could not run like usual. I had to do a ton of walking that wasn't scheduled. A ton of walking. And the weather was bad in places. Some rain here and there, but occasionally it quit. And it was just a really tough race. I finished it, but it was a really tough race. Now that was Detroit in 2016. This is the medal again from Champaign, the half marathon of Champaign, 2015, my very first half marathon ever. Like Detroit, I trained for months for this race. I did short runs and long runs and speed workouts and hill workouts. And I did run the entire distance in training, the whole 13.1 miles in training. And like in Detroit, this was a year before Detroit, I signed up with a pace group, and I talked to the pace group leader, and he said, we're going to run even splits. We're going to run the same pace the whole time. And he said, I will finish this race 30 seconds before the goal time. So all you have to do is beat me, just by a little. He said, all you have to do is beat me, the pace leader. I thought, this is good. Mile 1, he's dead on the right pace. Mile 1.5, he takes a bathroom break, he runs over to the porta potty. He says to me and one other girl that were pacing with him, he said, just keep running like you are. I'll catch up to you. And so we did, and maybe 5 or 6 minutes later, he caught back up. Mile 2, same pace. Mile 3, same pace. Mile 4, same pace. Mile 5, same pace. By mile 8, I was feeling really good. 5 miles left. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and run my own a little bit. He said, that's fine. So I sped up a touch and got a little bit ahead of him. Mile 9, a little faster than him. Mile 10, a little faster than him. Mile 11, a little faster than him. At mile 10 and 11, I'm like, I have got this in the bag. And I'll tell you, my goal for that race was to finish it in under 2 hours, and I crushed it. I mean, no problem. Flew across the finish line, felt fantastic. It was an awesome race. So what's the difference? What's the difference between these two races? It's not that one is twice as far as the other. I could have had a good race in Detroit. Let's talk about the factors that caused me to have difficulty in Detroit, but do well in Champaign. I did full training. I was ready for both of those races. I talked to the person who was my leader, and their description of what we were going to do sounded like the way I had trained. But the leader in Detroit didn't follow the plan. The leader in Detroit went off of the plan, and she didn't run the way I had trained, the way that we had discussed. And then I did stupid things like I took a break to take a photo and a couple other photos. And so I had to try and hurry to catch up. So I did dumb things. That race had weather issues, but that wasn't the problem, because in Champaign, it rained the whole time. It only rained off and on in Detroit. What happened in Detroit was the leader didn't follow the plan, and I took breaks and got off course and caused my own trouble and had to try and catch up. In Champaign, I talked to the leader, and he did exactly what he would say. And I ran the race exactly how I had trained. And I was able to finish it faster than I had planned because the leader was good and I did what I knew I was supposed to do in the right way. In your life, if you're trying to reach a specific goal, you need the right leader who understands you, who you have talked with, who knows where you're coming from, knows your life situation, the circumstances you've got to deal with, knows where you are and where you want to be. It can help you develop a plan to get there. You don't need a leader who doesn't know you or where you're at. And you need to run the race the right way, your way, that works with your life. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to step out every once in a while and push, because you do. Ain't no way I finished that race in Champaign with a fantastic time without pushing a little bit. But what I didn't do is I didn't make stupid mistakes. So here's my advice. If you want to accomplish a big goal, find a leader who understands you, where you're coming from, and your circumstances, who will develop a plan in conjunction with you. Follow that plan, and great things will happen. Remember to stay consistent. Also, reminder from the beginning of this video, don't forget, today is celebrating a week of doing these two-a-day videos, and the video I'm going to do later on today, we're going to have a special something that I'm giving away, so don't miss that video. Have a fantastic day, my friends. This is a public video. Feel free to share it. Thanks.